Hi, I'm Kevin Coupe, and this is FaceTime with the Content Guy reporting to you this morning from Las Vegas, Nevada. Really early in the morning, as you can tell by the way things look outside here. Uh, I know if you read morning newsbeat a lot, you know that I'm kind of a sucker for the notion of change. I'm fascinated by the idea that things that we think are status quo, they're always going to be part of our lives when they start to go away. I love sort of tracking the immutable kind of march of change. And there were three stories that popped up recently while I was on vacation that made me think about this. One was a story about how airline pilots who were used to seeing trudging through airports carrying these big 40-pound bags, which have all their flight manuals. Well, there's testing going on to allow them not to carry those flight manuals anymore. They're going to be able to get rid of those bags, and they're going to be able to keep everything pretty much on an iPad. And this apparently has a number of different advantages. One is that it's a lot lighter, it's easier on their backs. Two, it's a lot more accessible. And three, it can be more easily updated. Okay, so these are all good things for pilots. But pilots are just going, this is fabulous, this is amazing. We thought we'd always be trudging around with these big, heavy bags. We're not going to have to do that anymore. So there's one notion of how technology is changing something that has existed for a long time. There was another story that popped up while I was on vacation, which was interesting. It was about how something that we all use all the time may be going away, the key. Because apparently the technology now exists, and we've actually seen this already happen with like OnStar. The technology exists for all of us to load applications onto our smartphones, and more smartphones are being used by more and more people every day. We'll be able to download applications onto our smartphones, which will allow us to open doors to our homes or offices, whatever. We won't need keys anymore. I mean, isn't that extraordinary? The simple key, something that's been around forever, going away. And it may not happen today, maybe not tomorrow, but soon. And what are you going to do? Some keys will be like, Model Ts or something like that. And finally, there was another story in the New York Times this week, which I found interesting. It was all about how little kids, are learning to read using iPads and tablet computers in an entirely different way. They're interacting with the words on the page differently. The art is becoming more interactive. There sometimes could be music. There could be narration. It's giving them a different connection to books, all because technology allows them to access literature in an entirely different way. And I suspect you're going to see that expand even into the world of adult books, where you'll be able to read a thriller and maybe have an interesting soundtrack going on in the background or something, or you'll be able to go and see the learn about the countries in which some of these thrillers exist, or whatever it happens to be. These changes are taking place, and the kinds of changes that these are also going to affect the way that traditional marketers go to market, do business, connect with consumers. Consumers are going to look for these changes. And then anybody in the marketing business, whether you're a retailer or an advertiser or a manufacturer, you have to pay attention to these things and figure out, how am I going to start positioning myself for the long term? I mean, basically you have a choice, right? You can say, well, I'm going to stick with the status quo because I don't think these things are going to happen, or at least not while I'm in business. I'll be retired before these things will change. Or you can rush into it. You can embrace these changes and say, how can I position myself for the next generation? It seems to me that there's really only one choice. If you want to be relevant, if you want to have any kind of sustainable business model, you have to do the latter. Anyway, that's what's on my mind very early in the morning here in Las Vegas. And as always, I want to hear what's on your mind.